instances of paranormal phenomena have been reported in this desolate place. Events that may reflect the area's tragic past.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Other Dangerous Podcast, where we talk all things paranormal. I'm Ken James, and this is Jason McKittrick.
Hey, folks.
And if it can haunt, howl, or dwell in the dark, we want to talk about it. And tonight, in honor of our brother-in-arms, Jason McKittrick, moving to the Commonwealth and the city of Philadelphia, we are doing Philly Haunts. Part 1, potentially.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many around here.
Right.
You know, we had to do this because, Philly. Finally moved to Pennsylvania, and it's been a long time coming. I think I mentioned this in the previous episode, but I also lived in Philadelphia for 4 years, and a lot of the sites we're going to be mentioning, I have personal experiences at.
Sure,
you were at 2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them, and we have other ones that we're not mentioning yet, but we've already talked about in previous episodes. Yeah.
So,
seeing how it goes. Alright, guys, but this just came across the Other Dangerous Podcast news desk. It's another haunted headline.
Haunted headline.
Always exciting.
Alright, so this one is Harvard astronomers think aliens possibly visited us in 2017 and will return. In 2017, for the first time in history of space exploration, scientists spotted a mysterious interstellar object deep from space passing through the solar system. It was a mysterious object flying across our solar system, and we'd never seen anything like it before. Astronomers did not have much time to study the object since, but by the time our telescopes on Earth spotted it, the enigmatic object was already heading away from Earth. So what was Amunamuna? Was it just an oddly shaped rock? The book by Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb focuses on Amunamuna and everything related to this unique case of an intercepted object from space. The book titled is Extraterrestrial, the First Sign of Intelligent Life Beyond Earth, and was released January 26, 2021. So, was it, Jay?
Aliens?
Or a extraterrestrial object flying by the Earth?
Well, it's an extraterrestrial object flying by the Earth.
But was it aliens?
I would like it to be.
Okay.
I mean, what makes them say that it's aliens? Did it slow down?
I think so.
You think so?
It was like...
Are you in possession of the facts?
Always.
I
can't lean into your
camera. No, that's my camera.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You stay in your phone.
Right on. We'll see.
I mean, it's interesting. I always like to hear this kind of stuff. You know, they always, when things just fly into our neighborhood, our interstellar neighborhood, and then we're like, oh yeah, we didn't see that coming. So, if there ever is that giant asteroid that's coming to kill everybody, they're not going to see it.
Yeah. It's just going to happen. It'll be too fast.
Yeah.
It'll be like, all right.
Well, I wish aliens would come in and do something.
Anything, right?
Literally anything.
Right.
Yep, but,
Well, all right. That does it for this week's haunted headline. All right, so, Philly Haunts.
Yeah.
Would you like me to take our first video episode story?
I think you want to, so why don't
I might as well. All right, so this is the Bishop White House gang. For those who aren't familiar. The Bishop White House at 3rd and Walnut Street was once the home of the chaplain to the Second Constitutional Convention and the U.S. Senate. During the yellow fever epidemic in 1793, White lost one of 5 house residents. White lost one of 5 house residents, as well as many more from within his ministry and charity clientele. to the disease. While the inside of the house is currently closed to the public, the house is a stop along the Spirits of 76 Ghost Tour. Now, here's a little bit about the hauntings. During the daytime, the Bishop White House would probably go unnoticed. It looks just like any other historical old property littered throughout Philadelphia. There are a lot. However, this property is one of the eeriest haunted sites in Philly once the sun goes down. The first story is the Shadow Man, Jay.
Ooh.
When talking about haunted houses in Philadelphia, it's almost impossible not to mention the Bishop White House. The home was first built in 1787 by the first bishop of the Episcopal Church, William White. Episcopal Church, William White. White was among some of the most noteworthy figures of the thriving Philadelphia area, so the size of and the magnitude of this home were no surprise to locals. William White hired a vast array of different people to help manage his new large estate. One of these was a coach driver named John. Not much information is available about John except that he was a free African American who knew how to handle a coach. He was also very much liked by William White, and the two had a close friendship. John lived in a small apartment just behind the Bishop White House during his entire employment and even until his death. He passed away in 1793 as a result of the widespread yellow fever pandemic. Many people still report seeing John's spirit roaming around the home years after his death. His dark and ghostly silhouette figure is what gives his name the Shadow Man. Now, there's another legendary spirit of the Bishop White House.
Ooh.
It's not just local legend that whispers about the ghosts of the Bishop White House. Several books, including The Famous Haunted Philadelphia by Darcy Ort.
I have that book. It's over there somewhere.
Yeah, it's over there somewhere. Everyone has that book. Claim that various spirits inhabit the home. It appears a woman, two strange men, and a cat dwell there. However, the apparitions only seem to come out at night, when the house is mostly empty. That said, these ghostly encounters aren't anything new. People have claimed the Bishop White House is haunted for decades. The ghost cat, human spirits aren't the only odd entities lurking around the Bishop White House. There are many accounts of seeing a ghostly cat wander the yard. Some believe it's the ghost of Dr. Rush, the doctor who treated John for his yellow fever. Perhaps he's taken on a new form so that he can linger on in his afterlife. Philly is known for various historical landmarks, cheesesteaks, art, and numerous haunted houses. You can explore. Yeah. So that's the Bishop White House. It's an awesome-looking house. And you know what they said saved him from the yellow fever? Like everyone else in his house died?
What's that?
Smoking a pipe.
Oh, yeah.
Kept the mosquitoes away.
Okay.
That spread
Interesting.
the yellow fever.
That's no joke. All right, so for my first one, this is actually a really cool one, and I don't think a lot of people know about this. It's known as the Solitude Mansion.
All right.
It's a historic 2.5-story federal-style mansion located in West Fairmount Park, Philadelphia, above the banks of the Schuylkill River, on the grounds of the Philadelphia Zoo. The house was built sometime between 1784 and 1785, and historical records suggest that it was designed by its owner, John Penn, grandson of William Penn. Our boy on top of City Hill.
Yeah.
City Hall. The founder of the city of Philadelphia and the state of Pennsylvania. The mansion is also referred to as the Solitude and the Solitude House. It's just an amazing house. At the time, this was located in the countryside, several miles to the northwest of colonial area of Philadelphia. So this was not in the city at that point. This was out in the countryside. It served as a refuge for Penn, basically. Where he would just kind of get away from the inner workings of the city or whatever it was, and of course Ben Franklin visited there. He visits all the places.
Yeah.
So at some time after the final Penn owner died in 1869, the city bought the property and leased it to the Zoological Society of Philadelphia in 1874. The land and house then became part of the Philadelphia Zoo, which is in turn a part of Fairmount Park. But we want to hear about the ghosts.
Bring on the ghosts.
It's just one specific one. It's the ghost of, they think it may have been the wife of one of the Penns, and she's seen at the top of a staircase, and she descends the staircase, and as she comes down to the bottom, she disappears.
Oh my God.
Stop hamming it up, you fool.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there's the camera
There's
on me.
cameras
I'm Ken
down.
James. And it frightens. It's frightened many people over the years. People have shown up there at night, trying to find this ghost, see this ghost. But apparently, she's been viewed in the daytime and the nighttime.
Lady ghost on the stairs, man.
Hey, it's a trope, but hey, it must just be a thing. Think about it. What do we talk about? The the wearing away of the fabric.
Yeah.
People go up and down stairs like that. It's a heavy traffic area. So if there's a ghost, if something's being imprinted, it's going to be at a high traffic area.
If there's a ghosties on the steps walking up and down, it's from repetition.
Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I dig it, and it's cool. You can see this if you drive. It's like you can see this from the street. It's actually the first time I ever saw it was I was going to my friend of the podcast Sam towards his house, and you can see this. Yeah, you can see this from the street. I was like, oh, I wonder what that is, and I looked it up. I was like, oh, no kidding. And then I found the ghost story. I was like, all right.
Yeah. So you're like, good thing I saw that.
Good thing I saw that haunted as fuck house.
Right. Well, that's a cool one,
isn't it?
My next one, also haunted by Ben Franklin.
All the ladies of Philadelphia were haunted by Ben Franklin.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm. That man got it in. So this one, familiar with the Hag of Pine Street, Jake?
Oh, I am.
Well, Pine Street, Philadelphia, has quite a few haunted locations, but the legend of the Hag of Pine Street is perhaps the most famous. The legend says that an old witch once lived in a row house along Pine Street on Society Hill. She hated children and lovers, and would scream and wave her cane at them as they passed by. When she finally died, her spirit remained to continue tormenting the living. She would glare out the window of her home and smack her cane against the walls. Screaming and wailing could be heard from within the house, and occasionally her apparition would appear outside to chase children and happy couples down the street. Her house went unoccupied for many years due to the frequent activity. The legend ends when a new homeowner, Betsy Bassett, supposedly banished the unwelcome spirit with the help of a voodoo priest. The legend fails to point out which house on Pine Street the old hag occupied, and fails to mention who exactly Betsy Bassett was, and when she lived in the haunted house. Still, the legend of the hag on Pine Street persists in every generation.
Yeah. She's kind of like, kind of reminds me of the Bell Witch haunting, right? Which, has kind of like a similar kind of like, flavor to it. I mean, that's like an extensive case, but like, yeah. Here's the real question. So, she gets banished by a voodoo priest guy?
Yeah. Betsy Bassett brings in the big guns.
Which is cool. I mean, but here's my question. When did saging start?
Dude.
Not prepared for that question?
It's not that I'm not prepared for it. It's like... Even basic bitches now are all about saging.
Oh, yeah. Oh, just, do a sage cleanse.
Sage and walk around.
Yeah.
Have your pumpkin spice from Starbucks. And you're fine.
Yeah.
Hun. Listen, hun, you're fine.
Hun, you're fine. We got our pumpkin spice candle, so will that work?
For us it will.
Okay.
That's all the bad, that's pushing all the bad juju out immediately. Okay. Because it smells like fall. And that's what we,
checks out.
Are all about.
It checks out, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Saging, I don't know when it started, but I can tell you this. Bullshit.
Uh-oh.
I mean, wait, no, it's good.
You're not throwing shade, are you?
Yeah, actually I am.
Throwing shade at...
Sage.
Okay.
And sage users.
Okay.
Some of them are cool. Yeah, I know
a few.
I know a few. But if they ever bring it up, I'm just like, is that light out? Is that...
They bring it up, just pretend to start falling asleep. They love that.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not into the sage, and how about the crystals?
Yeah. I'll fight someone.
Yeah.
Someone tells me they're going to get rid of someone. I swear. Dude, crystals.
Superman had crystals. Remember, he built his house with crystals?
Yeah, Superman's also a comic book character.
That's correct. What do these two things have in common? They're not real.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Moving on.
The next stop on our tour of haunted Philadelphia. Now, this one is great because we both had an experience here. And St. Peter's Episcopal Church. So, get the history out of the way. St. Peter's was built between 1758 and 1761 to accommodate the overcrowded Anglican parish of Christ Church, another great spot, and serve members who had settled in Society Hill, also in Society Hill. So, Hag of Pine Street was probably lurking outside this place, like doing like the Scooby-Doo lurk, like
Yeah, she's like was twirling her cane. You know, you're like, Jesus. God.
Old lady yells at cloud.
Scary.
William White, who served as rector of both churches, see, bringing your story in, until 1836, became the first bishop of the Episcopal Church, formed in 1784 after independence was won. Worshippers included Absalom Jones, who founded St. Thomas Church, the first African-American Episcopal Church in 1792. I visited that one, too, for a school something. That was pretty cool, too. But we want to hear about the ghosts, right?
Bring on the ghosts.
Yeah, so first talk about the historical ghosts, then we'll talk about our little, our John.
Yeah, and we got to start from the jump on that one.
Yeah, so, allegedly, there's the phantom that is rumored to stand over the 5 unmarked graves in the cemetery of St. Peter's Church, located at 313 Pine Street. It's suspected to be that of the supposed phantom, whose can be seen every night at 9 p.m. 9 p.m., folks, Eastern Standard Time. Protects the spirits of the 5 Indian chiefs buried there. So the story with that is, during the Yellow Fever, they had these it was some kind of like, I don't know, diplomatic kind of thing where these 5 chiefs visited the church, and they were visiting Philadelphia, and it was during the Yellow Fever epidemic that Ken mentioned, and they died while they were here, and because they weren't Christians, they buried them there, but they didn't give them headstones. Nice. Good job, guys. Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, way to keep it classy.
Keep it up.
However, fast forward from 1863 or whatever year I was just talking about, 1761 to 2001-ish? 2001, 2002?
It was around there. Yeah, it was around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we,
Grand Theft Auto, the first reboot for PlayStation 2.
Okay.
That's because
right.
I was playing it that night.
Okay. I don't know what year that was, but, it was, we just met not too long ago. Chris, we were, Ken's brother Chris, and we were just doing the martial arts thing, and they were like, "Oh, we already kicked it off. We were just talking about haunted shit, you know.
Like you do,
And we're like, "Oh, let's go check out St. Peter's. It's supposed to be like, this haunted ass place." I had the book Philly Ghosts,
right?
That
and
book that everybody has.
I was upstairs in my bedroom, because the next day is my birthday.
What?
Yeah. So 2 of our listeners.
Oh, excuse me. This was Halloween night.
Yeah.
This was This was October 30th.
It was Halloween night because the next day was my birthday.
No, man, because it was October 30th because the chime hit midnight and it was Halloween. We were in there on October 30th.
Okay, I'll go with that.
I'm telling you, I remember it. I remember crystal clear.
Okay.
Because we went in there, we were like, oh, it's mischief night, so we went out. We went.
Yeah.
Into,
Okay, you're right because we would have been out doing something.
Yeah. So you decided to come. And
bring my 2 young friends that are listeners.
Yeah.
Tom and Sween.
Okay.
Yeah,
guys. I remember it.
Yeah.
Did Eric come?
No. It was you 2, me, Tom, and Sween.
Okay. Oh wait, no, we were just listening to Dashboard. That's why.
Right.
Okay. Shout out, Eric.
You fuck. 2 episodes you brought it in. Okay.
I told you it was going to seep in.
Yeah, it did.
I hate Dashboard Confessional.
I like Dashboard.
And that's the difference between you and me.
And me and Batman.
Yeah. So, we go in there with our spooky hats on. Spooky hats, spooky capes, both? I don't know.
All of it.
So
we were head to toe in spooky regalia.
Yeah, we were just ready for it. We just watched a couple episodes of World's Scariest Places on Earth
all
or whatever.
of it, yeah.
We were just into it. I had Zelda Rubinstein's voice in my head.
Like, St. Peter's Cathedral.
The crypts.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yep. And so we start looking around, and then immediately we see that like there's all these people in the cemetery, like doing their you got the witchy crew, right? Okay.
They were in the back.
Yes.
When we first walked in was the ghost hunters.
Yes, we had ghost hunters who were like talking into their thing, and like they had their REM pods and their Ovulus, and they had their
trench coats.
Yeah, they had their gear, and then we're walking a little bit more. We're looking at the graves, and then we see like there's 2 like witchy people, and they were like sitting on a grave, and they had candles, and they were doing something. I'm not going to say they were cutting the head off of a chicken,
but they had candles like in the trees.
Yeah,
around them.
they had candles hanging from the branches of this tree that was like over this grave, because like you had the grave. They were doing their thing with the candles. They were both sitting here, and then there was like branches that came over. They had candles hanging from the branch. So we're like, okay, that's happening too. So we're like walking around, and like we're standing sort of like we moved away from them. We went to an area where no one really was because there was maybe like 6 or 7 people in the
yeah.
I mean, it's a decent size graveyard,
and it's mischief night, so people are amok.
It was in the air. So like just as that happened, right? We like the tree started shaking.
Yeah, and then the ghost hunter people.
Yeah,
they
were like,
yeah, and they started clicking pictures of the tree shaking.
And then clock struck midnight.
Yep.
Just as that happened, and then something fell out of the tree, and we're looking up. I remember because your brother was looking up. He's like, "There's nothing up there."
Yeah.
And I was looking. I was like, "Yeah, there's nothing." And then like the ghost hunter's like, "Oh."
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing was too, the tree itself. It was one of those trees that's like, there's only branches at the top.
Yeah.
So you got to be one of these motherfuckers, like legs around it,
shimmy up the tree.
Yeah, shimmy up it, but you can see because it's not like like you're like.
Yeah, it was.
There's no one in there.
It was very weird.
It was very weird.
And something happened, and then when that happened, and then like the witchy people were doing something, and they had something that occurred. Like I don't know if they blew out their candles or something happened with their candles at the stroke of midnight too. But it was pretty fucking cool. Yeah,
I remember we were all just kind of like, and that's when you and Chris did the boojin con in the back thing.
Oh yeah.
And you guys fell back to the group to push us forward. We're watching out, like that whole thing. Yeah, no, it was a time too because we're 14, 13.
Yeah,
you
guys were young.
Yeah, and we're like, let's go into Philly. Like hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I thought I was just gonna hang here in my bedroom and berate my friends.
Yeah, and play Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah, I was like,
you're going to the city?
Huh?
Haunted graveyard? Yeah. I'm in.
Yeah.
And it was just cool and it was weird and I was just like, wow, that fucking happened.
Yeah.
And it was just okay.
But didn't you go back later that night? I remember you saying you went back.
So I went back. You guys dropped me off not long after because my apartment was only like 10 blocks up from there.
Right.
And so I got back and I was just hanging out there. I had a roommate at the time. He wasn't home. He was never home. So I was just sitting there. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking go back. I didn't have class the next day until like noon. So I was like, I'm gonna fucking go back. So I went back and just kind of walked around. There was nobody there now, and whatever kind of like energy was like in the air when we were there was gone.
Right.
It was really weird.
Right.
Like maybe because we were, I could say, oh, maybe it was just us hyping each other up, having a good time, having a,
And then maybe just the excitement of talking about it on the way back to drop you off. It's
so,
like...
Yeah, and I walked back and I was just like, okay, and like it wasn't. I mean, it was still spooky. I was still in this graveyard,
right.
From the 1700s, on in the wee hours of Halloween. Which, oh god,
is there anything better? Let's both do that face on it.
My pants.
Yeah, it's getting tight in here.
So yeah, I mean that was great because that was like my first year in Philly,
right?
And I was like, okay, yeah, awesome.
That, and it's funny too, like that, like it was your first year in Philly, and it took up until that for our friendship to grow because I fucking hated you, dude.
Yeah, I know.
I love you now, though.
I know.
So my next one, we did this. Our listener Sween, top flight best friend, best man at my wedding.
Yeah.
My bachelor party. He's talking. What do you want to do? What do you want to do, man? I'm like, the club. I'm not. That's not me. That ain't Kenny J.
No.
Kenny J don't go clubbing.
No. Let's get sweaty and get eaten alive by mosquitoes instead.
That's what I said. And he goes, light bulb. Yeah. But no, I was like, I saw this, thing about Fort Mifflin, and me and you were talking about
and then again, you were like, what?
Yeah, I was like, yeah. So, but no, I was like, if maybe we could, all my friends could come on something that I like to do, because we obviously did Eastern State.
Yeah.
We've looked, any place we go that is haunted, we want to fucking be there.
Yeah.
So Sween, with, what is it? Fat Dick Energy?
Oh, no.
Fat Dick Spirit.
Yeah, Fat Dick Spirit.
So Sween with...
So explain that real quick.
Yeah, so real quick. So Sween with Fat Dick Spirit makes it happen. Goes on a limb, gets a little money, forks out, and he, does it big for your boy. Okay, so, but also, the Fat Dick Spirit thing, just for everyone that's wondering, I saw a meme the other day, and it was like my mom tried to text me talking about big dick energy, and she said he was showing Fat Dick Spirit, which I thought was hilarious. Sent it to Jay.
And it just made me think of the Fat Scolari brother from Ghostbusters.
Right.
2.
And I said also this is what we're replacing Big Dick Energy.
Okay.
So, once again, Sween, Fat Dick Spirit, makes Fort Mifflin happen. Sween and I am eternally grateful. Thank you so much. You, my brother. Give him a bow. I don't know. Is that cool? Does that look cool, at least? Alright, so Fort Mifflin. Named by the History Channel and the Travel Channel is one of the most haunted sites in the world, Fort Mifflin.
When planes aren't going over.
Yeah, right. Was the site of the greatest bombardment of the American Revolution. The British fired more than 10,000 cannonballs at this fort. Every October, the fort hosts candlelit ghost tours.
They just shoot fucking
Yeah, yeah. They're like, can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see? But yeah. So Fort Mifflin. A little bit about it. Fort Mifflin and Hog Island Roads in Philadelphia, PA, commissioned in 1771. Philadelphia's Fort Mifflin is considered one of the most terrifying places in America. Hundreds of revolutionary... Yeah, really? Hundreds of revolutionary...
Planes are going over.
Yeah, right, and you're because of the bugs in the summer. Hundreds of Revolutionary War soldiers were killed during the battle at the fort. Years later, thousands of Civil War soldiers slowly wasted away from starvation and disease, locked in the dark prison beneath Fort Mifflin. There's no shortage of death and despair in the national landmark, but it is actually haunted? Or is it? So, known as the fort that saved America for it holding up. But paranormal investigators say Fort Mifflin is one of the most haunted places in the world. The staff at the museum don't shy away from ghostly rumors. In an interview with CBS 3 in Philadelphia, employee Lorraine Donahue Irby said Fort Mifflin is definitely haunted. It doesn't matter where you are, Donahue Irby told CBS 3. It doesn't matter what part of the fort you're in. They don't come on demand, but people have experiences morning, noon, and night. The abandoned fort has sent some overnight ghost hunters running in the middle of the night. Yeah, okay. Who are these guys? Teams have captured orbs of light floating with their camera, gotten glimpses of apparitions behind door frames, and recorded disembodied voices. We did, and our tour guide was supposed to send them to me, never fucking did.
That guy wasn't even really recording. He was like just going through the motions.
Me and him out when we had our experience. I'll get into it anyway.
Yeah.
Visitors who explore the fort often see soldiers cleaning their guns, even when no historical actors are present. Many will catch a whiff of a mysterious aroma like bread baking or wood fire or pot. An unexplained noise that sounds like a woman's scream fill up the air unexpectedly at all hours of the day. Some visitors even claim to have been touched, pushed, and pulled by phantom hands. So there's a couple legends.
Yeah.
The legend of the Faceless Man. The most infamous ghost at Fort Mifflin is the Faceless Man. Visitors spot this apparition coming through the property in Civil War attire. Many people believe the spirit belongs to William H. Howe. Howe was notoriously executed at the fort during the Civil War. Some ghost hunters are quick to paint a grisly picture of Howe as a treacherous, murdering outlaw. They claim his spirit is an evil force that stalks the fort ruins for vengeance. The spooky story may be enough to keep kids up at night, but the truth about Howe is much more interesting. And do we want to get into the actual truth of Howe here?
You're into it. If you're so inclined, sir.
I'm not. But I am inclined to talk about our experience.
Yeah.
And there's a lot with the history. We could go on forever about the history of Fort Mifflin because it's a beast.
Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful place. It's one of those places that like you get the chance, you go.
Yeah.
Like you go to Fort Mifflin. Like
when
bottom
the planes
line.
aren't flying over.
How many times are you going to talk about the planes flying over, bro?
Because it ruined the entire experience.
How did it ruin the entire experience? It was a great time. We were with friends. We had beers.
Yeah, that was cool, but any kind and awesome. But any kind of like mood that you kind of have there, it's ruined. Every 5 minutes, a fucking plane goes over, and I don't mean like yeah, that's a plane. No, like you could throw a rock and hit these planes. That's how fucking low they are.
Well, it's near the airport
is right there.
Well, also, but when we went into the casemates and the different bunkers,
then it was fine.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It was awesome. Like it's definitely haunted because you would be standing there, and I was standing there like when the planes weren't going over in between those intervals, and it's legit, man. Like people should know that if you're going there,
yeah.
Expect you have to deal with it. Like it I think it literally keeps that place from being like like one of the bigger places on like the haunted location maps,
right?
Because you go there and you're like, Jesus Christ, with these fucking planes,
right? Well, that's why they spend so many time in the casemates in the bunkers.
Exactly. So, you know, we went, you know, you go there and, like, in between these intervals of planes going over, like, you're just standing there in the middle of the night and, like, they have that old workshop and the old, like, areas where they kept the horses and, like, all that. You definitely get a feeling of, okay, you know, you feel the history there. And then, like, me and Chris, we were walking around the top areas, like, the battlements, I guess you would call them, and, like, just looking into, like, the river and stuff like that. I was like, this is, you know, yeah, you feel the history there. You can almost, you can feel, like, that something happened there. And it was great. But then we went into the casemates, and that was
it 19 is the most haunted one?
I believe so.
And it was just me, you, and Murdoch that went in at one point, and we kicked everyone else out. But then Murdoch, were you there when he got the snake?
Yeah.
Another listener, Murdoch.
It was in our first episode.
Oh yeah, dude. Murdoch, he was on our Byberry and Marlboro Mental Institution.
Yep. Episode.
What do we call it? Like a double header?
Yeah.
Right. So Murdoch, we're in there, and he sees a snake, and just the lunatic he is, he's just like, oh, this is a snake? He's like, hey, you're coming with me, buddy. And he's just like, all right, go on, be free. Because Murdoch, lover of all beasts.
Right.
Yeah.
So the three of us were in there, and we went in there, just turned our flashlights off, and sat for what? Like 20 minutes?
Something like that.
And, you know, it just,
And he went behind the one wall and was like, through the like window.
Yeah,
he's used, you know, he's a headlamp. Oh,
yeah.
dude, legend. Guy's a legend.
Yeah.
But you know, it was, you know, but I just like, I don't know.
I didn't feel at that point. I didn't feel any kind of scary anything. It was like we were just sitting in there. I was like, all right, we're just in this old version of a basement, kind of a munitions area.
Yeah.
And then we went to that other area behind that one door. It was another.
Yeah, and they had like bunks, like a couple bunk beds in there.
Yeah,
and it was me, you, Eddie, Chris, and Brian, and the tour guide.
Yeah.
And he had his, you know, ghost tool, put it in the fireplace. Yeah. So this is one of those ones that, you know, it's like it looks like a little, like, someone drew it with, like, one of those 3D pens. Yeah. And it has, you know, a couple lights on it, and it goes through, and then it beeps.
Yeah.
So we put that, you know, boom there, made a couple other ones. We were all asking questions. Yeah. And Chris so graciously was like, hey, man, it's your thing. You asked the first questions. You know, I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Thanks for letting me do that. But anyway, So we're doing it. We're asking questions and stuff, and my stepdad's getting a little religious about it. And we're like, love you, Pop, pump the brakes.
Yeah, but was he like go towards the light? Or something?
It was just like you know, Jesus accepts you. It's time to move on. And we're like, no, we want them here.
Stop it.
Yeah, we want the ghosts here.
We want more eternal torture for them, for our entertainment.
Keep the ghosts here, Dad.
Yeah.
So so we started talking, and then we started getting, started getting some boobs.
Yeah,
and the lights started going off a little bit.
Yeah, we definitely got the heebie-jeebies in there. You know, we're asking questions, and we at one point, you know, seemed to get some like responses because the beeps were going, but nothing. There's nothing to say that the guy didn't have something in his fucking thing to go like this to make it go off.
Exactly, a radio.
Yeah,
but I think at one point Eddie came, like, turned and was like, "I'm feeling something, man." Like I don't know. I might be making
Eddie.
That up for my own enjoyment.
Yeah.
But so then we're going out. After we're done that, we did that. That was like a half hour, and all our friends are out doing God knows what, because we have a tour guide with us.
Oh yeah.
And who knows what the hell my crew's doing out there?
Yeah.
Fucking dude, who the fuck knows? But so then me and the tour guide were outside, and we're going over.
Tour guide and I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, the tour guide and I we're outside, and we're going over, and we got him drunk. We got him drunk. It was good.
Yeah.
And but we're going over the audio of what and we're listening, and we were getting some shit. And I was like, yo, like, you gotta say. He's like, I will, we're best friends now.
Yeah, I will.
But no, I got you.
But he erased it. He was like,
yeah. He was like, this asshole, bachelor party. Fuck. He threw it away.
Bachelor party jag.
Yeah, bachelor party jag. And he threw, but see, we had that little thing, but honestly, it was one of the cooler things that ever happened in my fucking life.
It was great.
It was so cool to be with my best friends, like just like my brothers, my dad. I don't know. It was so fucking good.
Yeah. It was similar to my 30th birthday. Remember we did the ghost tour in Philly?
Yeah.
Had some good fucking food, and then
and Chris spoiled the surprise.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh,
we'll smoke these on the ghost tour," and you're like, "What?" And Christina looked at him like, And you were like, no, it's still cool. And I was just like...
And it was fine. It really was. I had a time of my life. That was a great night.
And that was chicken finger night, right?
Yes, that was the night that you ate chicken fingers off the floor.
It was one
chicken finger off the floor of...
Voodoo Mamas, right?
No, Tattoo Moms.
Tattoo Moms, that's it.
Yeah. No, Sugar Moms.
Sugar Moms.
Sugar Moms.
Sugar
Not Tattoo
Moms. Not Tattoo Moms. Sugar Moms.
Sugar Moms. One that has the porn in the bathrooms.
Yeah, and there's a picture of me as I'm saying, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then someone spilled honey mustard sauce all over your pants.
It wasn't my pants.
No, someone's
pants. But then someone
flashed credit cards.
Yeah, and then
immediately after got very drunk.
Yeah, and then
spilled shit all over.
Yeah, and then someone also accused someone of making fun of him, and you pointed him out.
Oh yeah,
you're like, go get your brother before you kill someone.
Yeah, I was like, he's like, dude, that guy was talking shit. I was like, oh, yeah, he's still talking shit over there. So he's like, that motherfucker. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, you better go get your brother. He's gonna kill that guy. No, Chris.
These are all things that happen.
Yeah.
Good times in Philly.
Yeah. Apparently, I try to convince people of shit when they're drunk.
It's one of your qualities.
Yeah, everyone had a good time.
I had a blast.
Yeah. Everybody was there. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Good times. So Ken.
Jay.
Back to Center City, Philadelphia.
Let's go back.
Let's go to Washington Square.
Oh. Wow.
Sometimes haunted locations are unexplainable. No deaths, no tragedies. We know they're haunted, but we don't know why. When it comes to Philadelphia's Washington Square, however, we know exactly where the poltergeist activity stems from. Mass graves. Okay? Southeast Square, as it was originally called, was laid out in 1682. As the city grew, the need for space allotted the burials increased. The square began to be used as a potter's field from 1704 to 1794.
Damn, Daddy.
Potter's fields, if you didn't know, were the designated burial places for paupers, foreigners, and those who weren't considered worthy of a Christian burial. No wonder these poor souls are restless. Mm-hmm. People were buried with the bare minimum. No casket, just wrapped in a canvas fabric. Sucks.
Yeah.
Today, hundreds of years later, Washington Square visitors still encounter the ghosts of the early Philadelphians put to rest there. Okay, according to legend, Washington Square is haunted by the ghost of a Quaker woman named Lee. Mm-hmm. Centuries ago, Lee protected the burial ground from grave robbers.
Yes.
Even though most people buried at the site were poor, this wasn't always the case. Take the Carpenters, for example, a prominent Philadelphia family. They separated a burial site for they separated a burial site for their family at the center of the square due to one of their members committing suicide. This rendered her unworthy for Christian burial. Grave robbers were known to scope out these prominent interments, dig up the fresh graves, and steal the items the corpses were buried with. And if they were werewolves, they would drink the blood. See last episode. Men known as resurrectionists would resort to body snatching in order to obtain cadavers to sell to physicians for their anatomical studies. Yes.
A lot of that.
And that's where Lee comes in. It's said that in life she monitored the grounds, walking around the square with a lantern and scaring off potential grave robbers and body snatchers. Even today, some who have visited the park at night feel as if they are being followed and watched by an unseen presence. Some even swear they've seen a bright light floating through the grounds. Could it be Lee with her lantern? I don't know.
I don't know.
At the center of Washington Square Park, you'll find the tomb of an unknown Revolutionary War soldier. Yes, an actual tomb with remains in the middle of the park. In the 1950s, the Washington Square Planning Committee decided to commission a memorial for Revolutionary War soldiers buried at the park. Since the start of the American Revolution, soldiers who had been wounded while fighting nearby were brought to Philadelphia to receive medical aid. In 1777, when the British occupied the city, the nearby Walnut Street jail was used to hold prisoners of war. It was like right there.
Yeah.
Their conditions were inhumane, and prisoners would often die off within weeks of incarceration. The dead in the city were promptly transported to the square, where large trenches were being dug. Bodies were disposed of hastily and stacked on top of each other. In a letter to his wife Abigail, Founding Father John Adams wrote, "The graves of the soldiers who have been buried in this ground from the hospital and bettering house during the course of last summer, fall, and winter, dead of smallpox and camp diseases, are enough to make the heart of stone melt away." Yeah, man, it's just pits.
Yeah.
So Many believe that it was this action of no-name dump burials that caused a surge in paranormal activity during the 18th century. Some Washington Square visitors claim they've heard disembodied whispers and screams at the park. The full-body apparitions of soldiers have also been witnessed.
Right.
Locals believe that the ghosts of Washington Square mean no harm. They're only trying to bring attention to the fact that the square is a burial site and should be respected. It wasn't until the committee erected a memorial in honor of the fallen soldiers that the ghostly activity began to subside. But it didn't disappear.
I love real quick.
Yeah.
The fact that it's like maybe the burying of all these Potter's graves, like maybe all these people. That's what's causing it. Maybe thousands of tourists a day walking over them might have something to do with that.
I mean, it's weird too because like it's right there. It's like diagonally across from Independence Hall.
Right.
And I've walked through this park when I lived in Philly. I walk through there every day.
Yeah.
And like it's a nice looking park there, but there's like you can look at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, but it's a statue of George Washington.
Right.
So like unless you stop and read it, maybe you don't get it. You're like, oh, it's just a statue of George Washington.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's just what it is. It's just this large square park. But then walking through there at night, it's definitely got kind of like there's definitely a vibe in that park.
And there's some homeless people sleeping on benches. As per usual.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that. I mean, you know, but during the day, it's like it's just antics. There's people skateboarding, people breakdancing. That park is particularly popular for people going there like during the warmer months and just sunbathing. So you're laying on graves, lots of them.
Right.
So I totally get it. But then we also have Yellow Jack is known to have ravaged some of the country's most important cities during the 18th century. This is the yellow fever, known as Yellow Jack. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
But before it came for cities like New Orleans and Savannah, it decimated Philadelphia. In just 3 months, the disease killed an estimated 5,000 residents. The outbreak was so devastating that prominent citizens fled Philadelphia, leaving the poor and working class population to deal with the deaths. Yeah, 5,000 doesn't sound like a lot now, but back then, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Bodies were piling up quickly, and there was no time for proper funeral practices. Large burial pits were once again dug in Washington Square to dispose of those who succumbed to the illness. When visitors to the park begin to feel ill, it's believed that it's caused by the spirits of the yellow fever victims buried underneath. And this is not a huge park. Like, you can see end to end, no problem. It's not big.
Yeah.
So, like, you start thinking how many bodies are in there. It's crazy.
It's funny. Anytime I see someone posting, like, oh, I'm at the park today, like, you know, or like do that, I'm always like, hey, you know how many dead people are buried there? Like,
you're
I always,
at the bone pit.
I always have to do
a good
that.
day at the bone pit.
And then they're always like, you know, like,
yeah.
Hey, what?
And I get why. They don't make a big thing out of it because it's like, oh, here's the 4 square parks of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
You have Rittenhouse Square, Washington Square, Logan Square, whatever the other one is. Yeah. And it's like
Square.
Yeah, they're all squares. So I can't think of the other two right now. So I see why they wouldn't like put like a thing on it, but then at the same time, it's like, why the fuck not? You know, I mean,
at least one of those little historical plaques that they put everywhere else.
Dude, there should be a little like.
There's one for the American Bandstand in Philly. Like, why isn't there
and
one?
The Philly Pops,
right?
So this one always intrigued me because number one, it's Washington Square Park, and it was like this is like just a few blocks from the apartment that I lived in when I was in college for the first 2 years, and it's seemingly innocuous. Like, you just walk past, there's nothing there. Yes, like I said, there's a statue of Washington, and there's the thing of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, but you have no idea that all that shit is there.
Does it have an eternal flame there too?
It does. Yeah. Which was not lit when I lived there, and then for a good period of time, like afterwards, I saw that it was lit, and then it just goes through periods of like, I wouldn't give a fuck about this shit right now.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Horrible management. Yeah. Anyway,
if the Eagles won that year, it's lit.
And it's green.
But if it isn't, then William Penn wears the jersey on top of City Hall. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
There's rules to this, but I don't know the rules.
There's layers, bro.
Yeah. So, that's Washington Square Park, buddy.
Well, I have one more.
That's funny. I have one more, too.
What?
Hmm?
This is
It's almost like we pre-planned this.
I know. It's almost like So my little ditty is Alfreds Alley. Thousands of tourists flock to Alfreds Alley every year to learn about the history of the nation's first residential street. Among the history buffs, you'll find ghost hunters. Jay, they're there.
They are. I like when they have their whole rig of stuff. That's my favorite version of Ghost Hunters. Yep.
Who's so far away. Anyway, so who haunts this olden street, Jay?
You tell us.
I will. Alfreds Alley dates back to 1703. In the 300 years that it has been standing, both visitors and residents have encountered the many spirits of the alley. The street was once the home of carpenters, glassblowers, and blacksmiths. The ghosts of Alfreds Alley were an interesting bunch. First one, the Hanged Man. According to legend, one of the most popular ghosts of the alley is a soldier who was hanged as a spy during the Revolutionary War. Unfortunately, there are no historical records to confirm this has ever happened in this alley. While we can't confirm the story, it would be a mistake to think that the alley isn't haunted. I love that. The alley has been home to local Philadelphians since the late 1600s. Given its extensive history, it's no surprise that it's one of the most haunted locations in the city. Visitors to the narrow stretch known as Alfreds Alley often capture strange orbs and shadowy apparitions in their photographs. Orbs. Some
dust?
Yeah, right. Or bugs. Some even claim to have been choked or suffocated by an unseen force while traversing the cow path. They're like, Daddy, no. Or Daddy, yeah. Unlike other well-known neighborhoods in the city, the alley was not included in the original plans for Philadelphia. As the city and its population grew, merchants and artisans began establishing themselves close to ports to facilitate receiving goods. Landowners realized that even though business owners resided near the port, they still needed a way to access the river quickly. These landowners were Arthur Wells and John Gilbert, who opened a 6-foot-wide cart path that later became known as the alley. Initially, the narrow path was called Gilbert's Alley, after the original landowner. It was later renamed Jeremiah Ethereth, and a local blacksmith who married Gilbert's daughter. So, at this point, it's like, this place is haunted because it's old.
Okay.
There's not associated real stories besides the one that seems to be fabricated.
So they don't have cool, fun cast of characters.
No. I mean, I like it, and it looks beautiful.
Well, maybe it has one of those, I think we talked about this before, where it's like, some of these haunted locations are just, they're so old that they have that, what do they call it, a spirit of place about them, where it's just, it has a feeling of history about it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of what it is. I mean, because it seems like that one, the Hanged Man, was made up, right? It's like...
Probably. I mean, there was a Hanged Man. Was there a body?
I can see it. It's right up there. Oh, wait, hold on.
Don't know what the fuck we're talking about? Check out Sightings The Ghost Report on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
And possibly a cleaner version coming to you from Other Dangerous Podcasts soon.
We do the work for you guys. Just remember that. Oh.
Mm-hmm. We're on it. Don't worry.
We got you. But yeah, once again, it's an old fucking city, right?
Oh, yeah. It's everywhere, man. It's...
where we're at right now.
Yeah. It's true. Mm-hmm. All right, so for my last pick this evening, another place that I had the, fortune of visiting. I went on a anniversary dinner here, a few years back with my wife, and this is the legendary Moshulu Ship. It's the world's oldest and largest square-rigged sailing vessel still afloat, and it's the one and only restaurant venue on a tall ship today in the world.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. It was built in 1904. It has a long, illustrious history. It took the journey around the Australia, around the Cape Horn 54 times, which is remarkable because a lot of ships wreck around that area of the ocean. It's been used for multiple things. It was used during World War II for some troop transport. It's been used to transport grain by different other. It's just one of these vessels that has.
It's got fat dick spirit.
Indeed, it does. It's been around the world so many times that it's just it's legendary.
Right.
And now it's a restaurant. During the ship's heyday, 28 people died at sea while on board, which is that's not uncommon. If you have a sailing vessel, like if we ever talked about the Queen Mary, like it's just going to happen.
Are we talking about the Grey Ghost?
Yeah, we are. Okay. So some theorists surmise that this morbid history might have something to do with the murmurs and hysterical laughter that the owner and staff have reported hearing.
I wouldn't like that, dude.
Okay, murmurs, I dealt with that.
Yeah.
And that's spooky, but we never heard it when we were in the room with it. Like, if you're, like, in a room somewhere and you're by yourself, let's say you're, I don't know, changing silverware, doing the side work at a restaurant, right?
Right.
So, doing your stuff and you hear just like...
Yeah.
And we're like...
Well, Joe V, when we worked at Albert's, he sent us the story about us hearing the murmurs that turn into yelling in the kitchen behind us.
Yeah.
Shit's fucked up, man.
Oh, yeah, no, it's insane. And having so many people on there, I could totally see, these kind of things we left behind, but then hysterical laughter. Because you imagine just sitting there just,
Yeah.
and the guy comes out with a pumpkin and just fucking...
Yeah, just breaks his TV. Yeah.
And then they have a character. The vessel is said to be haunted by the Lantern Ghost. It's a good name, sometimes lanterns are found still lit the next morning after being extinguished the night before. So they'll come in, and these aren't just like, they're not like switches, they're relit.
Yeah.
And people can't explain it. They just...
How do you explain that?
And it's one of the things. So it's like, I like that because that like goes back to the history of this ship, because it's like that was somebody's job at some time.
Right.
Yeah, putting them out and lighting them back up.
Yep.
And maybe this whatever time continuum that this ghost is existing or whatever, she's probably flabbergasted because she's like, someone's putting out my fucking lights.
Yeah.
Gotta put them back on. She's like, something keeps putting out the candle. Like she probably exists in like 17 no, it was built. Excuse me, built in 1904. So she probably exists early 1900s.
Right.
Trying to do the candles. She's like, halfway through the night, the fucking candles keep going out. I can't explain it.
Or it's funny too to think of it as like someone that works in a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So like the whole staff is haunting it.
Yeah.
And the one person keeps like relighting, and they're like, Dana.
Yeah.
Like, why are you? It's, I got a job to do, Jerry.
Yeah.
I'm doing my fucking job.
Fucking Jerry.
Yeah. Jerry's a dick.
Yeah.
Dishes, Jerry.
Yeah. Yep. So this is this is one of the these are the I like the Lantern Ghost. That's a cool.
That's definitely a cool one.
That's a cool addition to it. So yeah, when we had dinner there, there were so many people on there that it was like trying to see like energies or anything like that. It was just, but you could it had that everything is wood. A lot of things are wood, so it had that just very old feel to it, and it was great food too.
They throw it out.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I mean, you could definitely feel it. You walk through the hallways before you go to where like the dining room is. There's all these things on the wall telling you about the history, how many times it went around the world. It had some specific. Oh man, I should have looked this up, but it had some specific thing. Maybe it was a big certificate because it went around the world like 100 times. Like, and when you do that, a ship gets this thing. Yeah. And it had like, it was like the Order of Neptune or something. It had like a big, Poseidon, Neptune, and he was like on the thing like this, and it was like, oh, the Moshulu because da da da. I was like, wow, that's fucking cool.
That is fucking cool.
Like, that ship's been around. So what does that do? We talk about what? Water. We talk about wood. We talk about all these emotions that occur on these things. It was used for many different purposes.
Imagine that a voyage around the world. Just one.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, no.
Someone fell from a loft. That's all I'm saying.
Was there a body?
Anyway.
Bring a psychic in there. She'll crack up.
Yeah, wide open. Not using the internet at all.
Nope, not
or
at
any
all.
kind of like,
She claims not to have known. Yeah, she claims not to have known anything about the location beforehand.
We didn't tell her anything about the location beforehand.
Yeah. So that's what I got for the Moshulu, Ken.
Yeah, man. It's there's so many places that we're gonna get into here, and you fucking live here now. Not just like when I met you in college.
Yeah, no.
I wasn't in college either, no. But we're better for having you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir, for being here.
Yeah.
Closing statements on Philly haunts?
No closing statements, because we're going to come back to this, because Philly's one of these cities where, like, you always find some, like, I feel like this one specifically is going to be like, all right, we already did Philly haunts, but then it's going to be like, look, I came across this other thing, it's another Philly haunt. It's like, oh, all right, let's
and it's going to be cool, and we're going to, all right,
Yeah.
you got to pick more.
Yeah, I think the next one will be centered around Ben Franklin completely and all his, hooers.
Ben Franklin is Frank Reynolds. We already discussed this.
We did.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, okay. All right, so no closing statements. Philly haunts. There's a lot of jelly in these donuts.
Here's the closing statements. I'm here now, so.
Ladies and gents, do you need more? Do you need more? Put a statue of Jay next to Rocky right now.
Get the fuck out of here. The fuck would I want that for?
I don't know.
At least I'm real.
It's true. It's very true. Well, all right, guys. So for this episode of Other Dangerous Podcast, I'm Ken James.
And I'm Jason McKittrick.
And as always, have a spooky evening.
Spooky.
Thank you for listening to Other Dangerous Podcasts. Have you encountered the other dangers? If so, you can email us at otherdangerouspodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to have a discussion about the paranormal, you can find us at Other Dangerous Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. There you can find submitted pictures, videos, and artwork from listeners. We are now streaming on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else podcasts are streamed. And after listening, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you the other dangers.